like take 10 of this video. I've tried to record it like a million times. Don't try to record videos on a Chromebook. It's not worth it. So I'm here to talk about my experience having an eating disorder in the hopes of removing some of the stigma and giving people an accurate picture of recovery. I went into recovery really clueless about what it was going to be like, so hopefully this will help somebody. The interview questions are from Reddit user Reduce the Stigma and will be part of a documentary project. So this is the first question. How has your identity been shaped by your eating disorder? Sometimes I can't even separate my identity from my eating disorder enough to know how to answer that. I wonder all the time if I'd even have a personality left if I wasn't just obsessing over food all day. I definitely have hobbies and interests that don't revolve around food, but pretty much everything that I do and most of my decisions are in a big way driven by shame and fear and self-loathing. I think that when you're afraid and ashamed all the time, you start feeling insubstantial as a person after a while, and like your identity doesn't even belong to you. So the second question is, when did you first realize you had an eating disorder? I think that there were red flags that could be spotted as early as 9 or 10, and I'm also a big proponent of the idea that eating disorders are largely genetic, but I think for most people they don't show up until later in life. And I think that mine showed up probably when I was a freshman in high school. I used to just drink Diet Coke all day, and then I would go home and eat dinner with my parents so that they never got suspicious, but that was it. The third question is, how did you seek help? At some point in high school, I started playing sports, and so I adopted some more normal eating habits. I also just did it because I realized I was looking kind of sick and gross. I thought that that meant I was recovered and that I did it all on my own. Amazing. But it turns out that I relapsed several times after that. And while I was pretty open with my friends about how I used to have an eating disorder, I never told anyone about the relapses because they never seemed that severe to me. Finally, about 6 months ago, I told some friends about my latest relapse, and I think it put them in a tough position because they want to help, but nobody really knows how. I imagine it's frustrating to know that someone you care about is self-destructing, and not only can you not do anything about it, but they don't really want you intervening at all. Sometimes, though, just the fact that they know and the idea that I don't want to scare my friends is the only motivation I have to eat when I can't think of reasons to do it for myself. About a month or two ago, I told my mom that I needed to get help, and she helped me find a counselor. I've only been to 2 sessions so far, but so far it's going really well, and I'm glad that I did it. So the next question, I will talk about the recovery process, how it's been overall, what keeps me on track, and what's hard about it. Overall, the recovery process has been difficult. It wasn't like I just got this big burst of inspiration to turn my life around. I just got sick of this. I got sick of living like this. It gets old, and I kind of just got angry. It's been really frustrating. I didn't have to try to give in to the eating disorder. That just came naturally. Recovery has been the opposite. It's a constant fight, and it doesn't feel like natural behavior to me at all. I went from numb all the time to just being angry and exhausted, and sometimes the numbness seems like it would be preferable, and I just want to give up and sit down. And most of the time, the fear of gaining weight is way worse than the fear that I'm going to live like this forever. Deciding to recover didn't make that go away. I have a great support system and very loving friends and family, and often all I have to do to stay on track is think of them. But I'm really lucky to have that support system, and not everybody has that, so I am trying to find things from within myself that help too. I think that the biggest thing is just pure stubbornness. This has sucked, and it's difficult, and I've worked really hard just to make basic steps. So I don't really want all that hard work to be for nothing. So most of the time I think that it's just pure bullheadedness pushing me forward. The next question is if I have anything else I would like to talk about, and I do have some kind of random thoughts that I wrote in. The only reason that anyone knew that I have an eating disorder is because I told people. For a brief period, I did drop quite a bit of weight, but I've never really been severely underweight, or even noticeably underweight. I'm at a normal weight range right now, and more often than not, my intake is okay. But these times never ever last if I'm left to my own devices. The disorder thoughts have never gone away, and even though eating disorders have that, you know, popular image of the very like emaciated person, sometimes they're invisible, and the deadliest part of them is usually the invisible part, the part in your head. I want to die all the time, almost every day, still, even though I decided to recover. I won't, because I know firsthand how much it would hurt the people I love, and I don't want to put them through that. It's hard to share this with people, but when I did, I realized that I have an impact on the people I know, even though I've convinced myself that I don't matter. Ideally, someday I will have my own reasons to stay alive and take care of myself, but for now, thinking of other people is enough. It's kept me alive through the worst of it, and I'm content with that. So the last question is somewhere over, nope. Yeah. What is your advice to others seeking help? My biggest advice is stop waiting. I told myself that I could do this on my own, and that it wasn't worth making anyone worry about me, that I wasn't really that sick. And I've fought with this eating disorder for about a decade. I've battled with the misery for even longer than that, and I'm never going to get those years back. They're gone. There are so many beautiful things about the world that I have yet to experience, and for now, they're all on hold while I learn to take care of myself. The longer you wait, the more of your life you're going to lose, and it goes by fast. We've let our eating disorders convince us that our hopes and desires are out of reach and that we're not even worth achieving them. But if you take one step, just one tiny little step, you're that much closer to getting there. So please talk to someone, anyone, before your whole life gets away from you. I guess that's all I have to say, so thanks for listening.